The Blackhawks lose 5-1 to the Flyers. It sucked. We'll talk about it next on CHGO Blackhawks. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks post-game podcast presented by Bet365. Download the app. Use our code CHGO365 when you sign up. We're happy you're here. Thanks for being with us. Do us a favor. Hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page as well. And if you're checking us out on the podcast later, make sure you're following or subscribed on your favorite podcast app. Hawks lose 5-1 to the Philadelphia Flyers in Philly, and this was a game that this team was not ready to play. There's really no other way to put it. You give up a goal, 40-some seconds into the game, 47 seconds into the game. A miscommunication between Artem Levshunov and Spencer Knight. Both guys look at each other like, not a good sign. And then about a minute and a half later, not even, it's 2-0. And from there, you're chasing the game. Yeah. And the Flyers were able to sort of sit back and rope-a-dope you. You made a little bit of noise in the second period where Connor Bedard scores his 30th goal of the year, makes it 3-1, and then immediately after, a minute 30 seconds later, it's 4-1, and that's the game.
Yeah, the start of the game, just really bad communication, bad plays. I really don't know what the issue would have been on the first goal, because the puck's coming behind the net and Spencer Knight goes to play it, and he's usually a pretty good handler of the puck.
Right, and Levshunov was in front of him.
Levshunov was coming around from the front of the net and was like to Knight's backhand, which it looked like Knight was trying to give it to him, but my guess is Levshunov probably said like, "You're good." And so he just left, kind of like soft dropped it.
Yeah.
When really he needed to play it harder.
It's funny you say it, because to me it looked like he was going to ring it around the boards hard.
Yeah, I thought he was going to. Yeah.
So if we saw the same play a different way, those two saw it a different way. Those things happen in the course of a game. It sucks it happens that early in the game. The other thing we should mention too is Louis Crevier late in the game got a skate to the eye. You saw Jeff Blashill and Michael Pekka talking on the bench, and Pekka sort of indicated, pointing to underneath his eye. So hopefully dodged a bullet there, because we thought for a second it was the neck. At first replay, it looked like the skate hit the neck, and it didn't.
Right up in the mouth.
Fortunately, it did not. Got him right under the eye, hopefully. So we're keeping an eye on whatever's going on with Louis Crevier, but it did not look good.
Yeah, so Vinny Parisi of the Hockey News, I guess Connor must have been asked about it right away. Said it was Connor Bedard on Louis Crevier after the skate blade injury. Says, quote, "He's doing good." Said that he was in the room and talking after the game. So
that's good.
As scary as that play looked, at least seems like Crevier will be quote unquote okay.
Well, when you saw him, you saw him a little bit panicked too, because he went down in a heap and he probably looked at his hands, and his hands were probably full of blood, or had a good amount of blood on them, because they said there was a whistle at the other end during the game. There was right after that play happened, the play continued. Then it went into the Flyer zone. There was a face off there, and Panger and Rick Ball basically said they haven't cleaned up the blood. They just, I don't know if no one noticed it, but there was definitely blood behind the net.
Ben Pope tweeted that there was blood on the ice, which usually if there is, they go and clean that up right away.
Right. It's Philly, damn it. Yeah. They rub it on their cheesesteaks.
Philly tough. The first goal goes in, and look, I said it here during the game. It was like, well, they scored on the first shift against the Islanders, and then they came roaring back. They didn't come roaring back tonight. Just too sloppy of play. The the second goal, Andrei Burakovsky with a pizza right to the middle of the ice.
Now, if he got assists on turnovers, hard trophy.
He'd be
right up there with Kucherov,
having himself a career year. So then you're down 2-0 so fast, and you're chasing the game. And then there was, the end of the first period, there's bad penalties going both ways. So you kind of lose a flow of the game. Yeah, it's just an off night, a poorly executed night, and as much as you can use it as may use it as an excuse, they haven't practiced in almost 2 weeks.
March 16th was our last practice.
Yeah, so
10 days.
As much as it's fun to just kind of play games and go, like especially this young of a team after the trade deadline and adding these young players, they need time to just work together and get combobulated. They're too discombobulated.
Or bobulated.
They need
combobulated.
Yeah, they need a practice to get combobulated here, and you throw them right into the game tomorrow, and then they travel and play on Sunday again. So I don't even know when they would. They practice what, Monday?
And look, it's all that is true. You're right. I don't think that. I think what you're saying is like a lot of new players, guys haven't played with each other before, different line combinations. You've got different guys on the penalty kill that were not on it for the vast majority of the year. A lot of the stuff can get sorted out in practice, and that is valid and that is true. And I think that's probably 30 to 35% of what we saw tonight. The other percentage was they were not engaged. They were not ready to go. And we talked in the pregame show, like, hey, man, they should be fired up. They got Frondell, and Boisvert makes his debut, and it's exciting. You got these new players, and they come out first shift, and it's right away. Then a couple shifts later, it's 2-0 before you really even break a sweat.
Right.
And it felt like for 60 minutes, they didn't really break a sweat at all. It was a very frustrating effort. Yes, all those things need correction. Practice will do this team a ton of good, because I do think we're also seeing some young guys now developing some bad habits that practice is really good. It's sort of, they call them drills for a reason, because they're drilling an idea into your head repeatedly. I saw Sam Renzel make a couple plays where I said, where is he going? We haven't really seen him do that since he got back from his most recent recall. So they need a reset, but even with that, the effort, there's no excuse for the effort they put out tonight. There's just not.
Yeah, I think, you have this, as we talked about in the pregame, a 24-year-old average roster age in this game, 11 players that are 23 and under. Boisvert making his debut, Frondell's second game ever. Lardis and Green are rookies, and Renzel's a rookie. Like, all of these guys are at this stage where, they're the team now, and it's a lot to put on a lot of these young players. Yes, there are still veterans in the lineup, and they should be helping you. One of them didn't tonight. A couple of them didn't, but you are relying a lot on young guys, and they are figuring out the league even still. And I think that there's going to be games like this where, if you have 2 goals in a minute happen against you, you start to kind of get a little bit panicky in the mind, and you start to think, okay, I got to erase this 2-0, 3-0 deficit in one play, and you can't do that. And I think this team is going to be prone to moments like that. So that's where it's one of these learning processes where you have to be okay with sometimes, clawing your way back into a game can't happen on one shift. You have to be okay with, like, okay, if I win a shift, or at least it's neutral, that's fine. You don't have to go out there and play hero ball.
It's okay. It's okay to fight another day
out there.
Yep. And you had that opportunity. Bedard scores, then you follow that up with a really good opportunity, a really good extended shift. And was that the 3-on-1 was right after that too? Mm-hmm. I believe so. Mm-hmm. You don't score on a 3-on-1. And then they go off and score the other way. So you did have some fight. You had a goal followed by a few really good moments, And then the second you let down after that goal and those good moments, it's right back in your net. And at that point, everyone knew that game was over. As soon as that fourth Philly goal went in, it was like, all right, well, screw it.
Well, and that's a team that hasn't scored a lot recently. So
it's just, you're done. You're toast. And it just had the feeling of one of those nights. Honestly, when you saw the first one go in and Spencer Knight and Levshunov are looking at each other like the two Power Rangers in the meme, like, I don't know what we were thinking on that one. Just a frustrating. But again, as we said before, you can live with the losses and you can live with the young players making mistakes. The effort is what frustrates. And I think we're going to hear whoever we hear from postgame. I see Connor Bedard is speaking. We'll hear from Jeff Blashill. Not sure who else. I would expect that all of them have a big problem with the effort today. I would hope so.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the adage of like being ready to go is something that it's been an issue at times with this group, but again, like I'm not going to flip a table over it because I think this is a team that is learning. Like this is what we've all signed up for with the rebuild is young players, and these guys have to continue to grow as NHLers, and adding Frondell and adding Boisvert, like that adds into it. And again, like these guys that you're going to be giving significant minutes to and will be on your power play and your penalty kill. Like they're all very young and they're all still figuring out the league. And that's where, the coaching staff with Blashill and Mike Pekka and Mike Vellucci, like they're going to have to be on it to, make sure that teams are prepared, that the video sessions that we've heard about and how that they're, learning from video, sometimes even more than from practice. Well, you have to make sure that those lessons and those early, like, be ready to go because this is a playoff hunting team.
Yeah.
Like that's got to be something that guys can be ready for.
Well, and that's why we were so pleased with the game against the Islanders. And they held on for dear life in that third period, but after they got the win.
Goal, they
rallied back. Yes. And they beat the Wild, and they're hanging in there against good teams, and they're showing up and they're putting up a fight.
You just don't have the guys that you can fall back on post trade deadline that were like your like security blanket, basically. You don't have the Foligno, Dickinson, Murphy guys that you can throw out and say, hey, let's calm down the game. Like now these young guys got to be the ones to kind of figure out how to do that.
And that's part of the development path too, is not just like in 2 years I'll score more goals and I'll be bigger. It's also I will learn how to lead. We will learn as a group how to hit the reset button after a really bad start, or what to say to a teammate to rally them. Everyone's different. Like I know it's not quite the NHL, but I've coached girls softball.
It's pretty close
since my daughter was 8. Yeah. And every player is different, and you have to learn what makes every player tick. And I think as teammates, you have to learn that too, where my daughter is a pitcher, her friend Kaylee's a catcher. There's days Kaylee knows I need to go talk to her. Mm-hmm. And there's days Kaylee says, I'm not talking to her right now. She does not want to hear from me right now. Yep. Right. Like, and that is the thing that all these new teammates in the NHL have to learn about each other. And many of these have been playing against each other growing up in life. So it's, you know what I mean? So it's a whole new dynamic for them. So look, I see the usual suspects in the chat, calling the rebuild a bust and all that stuff. You're only here after losses. We see you. We acknowledge you. Thank you. I don't think that this does anything to redefine the way we have been feeling about the Blackhawks over the last stretch here, where they lost in overtime to the Stars, beat the Mammoth twice, lost in overtime to the Wild, beat the Wild, beat the Islanders. Like they've been beating good teams. They've been neck and neck with good teams. Yeah. And that's encouraging. I think it was after the Islanders game, like, we're feeling good about things lately, but there's going to be another stinker in here, or 2 or 3. This is one of them. This was absolutely one of those games that happens to every team a handful of times a year. And fortunately, they get to play tomorrow and try to make it right.
Well, Mike Pekka said on the broadcast, like they have had good performances. So that's why it makes a performance like this tonight frustrating, because it's just like, well, we know that there's better in there, especially with this group. Like they've had really solid performances, solid efforts post trade deadline with this like young group. So to have a game like this is still disappointing, even though there's still lots of growth that needs to happen for this group.
All right, we got to nominate our Game Day Men's Health Game Puck nominees. Better father, better husband, better man. Go to Game Day Men's Health. Visit GameDayCHGO.com to find locations closest to you. We've got 3 today. Connor Bedard scored his 30th goal of the season, tied his career high in points with 67 points in 59 games. So really good pace for him. Had 4 shots, 6 shot attempts in 1937 of ice time. A little more on him coming up in a minute. Anton Frondell with an assist, 4 shots on goal, 6 shot attempts, a hit, and 2 block shots in 1708. And one of the other guys I thought showed up, one of the veterans, Ilya Mikheyev, played hard for 60 minutes, 3 shots on goal, 4 shot attempts, and a block shot in 1536. He was -2, but it was a 5-1 loss.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do?
2 chances in the first period?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like we're a breakaway and a 2-on-1 away from potentially being like tied 2-2 in the first period. It was close. And credit to Ursan in the Flyers net. Like he made some saves.
He made some huge saves. Yeah. Absolutely. By the way, not a Game Puck nominee, but just to update you on Sacha Boisvert, he finished a -1, had 1 shot on goal, 2 shot attempts, had a hit, and 903 of ice time. So a weird game. A lot of special teams, a lot of 4-on-4s, 4-on-3s, not a lot of rhythm, and then you're down 5-1, so you're trying to get back in the game. But I was hoping to see a little more physical edge from him. We'll see how it goes tomorrow against the Rangers, where it's not his first game. It's not such a weird game, hopefully.
Yeah.
But again, as we said pregame, and as we said about Boisvert all along, he is not Anton Frondell. He is not a guy who's going to come in day one and be a difference maker. And my belief is he'll spend most, if not all, of next season in Rockford.
Yeah, he'll be given, the Nazar more Lardis plan of go to Rockford, get the top minutes, see how you do, and then we'll revisit a couple games into the, couple dozen games into the season and see where he's at.
All right, we're going to hit the break zone for the first time. While we do that, you hit the like button. We'd appreciate that big time. We'll talk to you in a few minutes on CHGO Blackhawks.
Our friends at Sunnyside Dispensary are here to elevate your baseball season, and you might need it after the start for both the Cubs and the Sox.
Correct.
Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free shopping. They have a crazy selection of over 100 strains to choose from with easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Wherever you are in Illinois, a Sunnyside location is not far from you. They have spots as far south as Champaign and as far north as South Beloit. Stop in to the store nearest to you to find expert guidance from their staff, or you can head to their website for only the best under the sun, including 50% off of your first 3 online purchases. Use the promo code HICHGO, that's HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Sunnyside Dispensary, only the best under the sun, only for those 21 and older, or you could be an Illinois medical card holder.
It's a great deal. Good, better, best. Chicago is home to that iconic slogan, and Bet365 has a great one of their own. Early payout offer, just as catchy. Here's how it works. If your team goes up by 10 points at any point in the game, Bet365 will pay out your bet right there on the spot. It's that simple. Bet365, where winning is everything. They're running their bet $5, get $150 promo. Any new Bet365 user will get $150 in bonus bets after depositing $10 and making their first $5 bet. Again, it's that simple. So download the Bet365 app. Use our code CHGO365 when you sign up. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Please gamble responsibly. Must be present in Illinois. $10 minimum deposit required. Bonus bet wager excluded from returns. New customers only. 21 plus only. Time limits, minimum odds, and terms and conditions apply. In-app only. Void where prohibited. And now it's time for Checking It Out, sponsored by Old National Bank. Every play matters, whether it's on the field or in your financial life. The best teams win by delivering excellence at every level. Old National Bank, where relationships and results matter. Member FDIC. We mentioned a moment ago, Connor Bedard with his 30th goal. He scored it in his 59th game. He is the third Blackhawk under 20 or younger to have a 30-goal season. The first to do so was Eric Daze, who had 30 in 80 games in 1995-96. Jonathan Taves had 34 goals in 82 games in 2008-2009. And again, Connor Bedard with 30 in 59 games. So he's got 9 to go to get 5 more, which is maybe a little bit hopeful. But if you wanted to pass Jonathan Taves, that's what it would take. So we'll see.
10 games.
Wasn't today the 10th game?
Today was game 72.
Okay, so yeah. 10 games from
10,
here. Yeah,
10 games. I think he could do it, especially if Anton Frondell keeps setting him up.
Hey, that was we were debating whether or not, maybe that's a good poll question once we have our puck winner. Was that a pass or was that a shot attempt that rolled off his stick?
It was a pass.
Yeah, because he definitely lowered that shoulder as if he was trying to stuff it short side, but then it rolled right off his stick, right to Connor Bedard. Let's just say it was a pass.
It was a great pass at the end of the day. Yeah.
He fooled with the body language. The deceptive shot of Anton Frondell was actually a pass right to Connor Bedard.
I think he was trying to slam it in short side to the near post, but it rolled off the back of his stick there. But
right on the money though.
Yeah, it was
a hell of a shot by Bedard too.
Oh yeah, I mean, not surprising.
That was just a missile.
I mean, a great play. Like those guys, you can see that they're working to build that chemistry, and again, you can see that there's time needed to play together, to go through video together, to kind of get set up a little bit more, have some practices together to where you can kind of get an understanding of some tendencies and kind of talk things out on the ice. And there was the play by Frondell where he tried to do the drop pass to Bedard, but it was the wrong read. Like it wasn't really the play Bedard.
And then it happened the other way. A few shifts later, the same thing happened.
So you can tell, like, there's obviously skill there to where those two guys can eventually get clicking here. Even more so, I know Frondell's got 2 assists. He's and I think he's got the opportunity to play with Bedard and grow that, but it's again takes time. Like it's very hard to instantly be a superstar next to a superstar right away.
Yeah. All right, let's hear from Connor Bedard, who spoke after the game, this courtesy of the Blackhawks.
Scary to see that with Louis there in the third period.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't see it, and then I just saw him in the room. So, you never want to have something like that happen to someone. So, but he's doing good, and whenever something happens to a guy, obviously you're just hoping for the best. So, it was good to see him after, and he's talking and stuff. So it looks good right now, which is good.
Yeah, obviously another tough start like the last game, but it didn't seem like you guys had the bounce back like you guys did against the Islanders.
Yeah, I thought they played a little more intense than us. I thought we didn't really match that for whatever reason, but obviously kind of something that we got to do better, and just kind of learn from that. And when you play teams that every game for them is do or die, they're going to come out hard, and we gotta have the same urgency.
Frondell assisted on your goal there. Is there any excitement from you personally kind of playing with him more and just seeing him play more at all?
Yeah, he's looked great so far. It's a quick turnaround for him, flying, play right away, and but he's handled everything great. And I think I'm a little frustrated myself. I think I could help him out more. I probably haven't played my best since he's been here. So you want to make it as easy as you can on any new guy coming in. So we're just gonna keep trying to do that. But he's doing everything right. He's playing well, and it's fun to see him here and making an impact.
It was not the outcome you wanted with 30 goals. Where does that rank for you, just as far as personal accomplishments?
Yeah, honestly, I haven't really thought about it at this point. When you're in a game like that and you're down and you score one, it's obviously more just hoping that it creates a little momentum and it's not something you think about as much. But it's obviously if anything positive. So just kind of try to put myself in positions to get chances, and obviously that's a great play by Franz there to get it to me.
I know you're not making excuses, but as young as you guys are and implementing 2 new guys in the roster, are some of these, I guess, inconsistencies maybe just the reality of this sometimes too?
I don't know. Like you said at the start there, we're not going to, give ourselves outs or anything. But, yeah, I mean, it's, I think for us, we have a lot of importance in these last however many games, whether it's for the playoffs or not, and I think we're tired of kind of being in the spot we're in April where, we're not obviously forcing motivation. It's the NHL. We have a lot of pride, but, just finding that, and we got to stay motivated and stay on the gas because these games are really important for us with our age and the group we have.
What did you think of Sacha today?
Yeah, I thought he looked good. I think he had a couple chances and made some nice plays. So, like I talked about with Franz there, it's fun to see you guys come in and the excitement they have and impact right away, kind of. But I thought he looked good, and him and Franz are only going to get better.
I know you mentioned you weren't that happy with your game. Anything specific right now that you don't feel like you're doing well enough?
Yeah, I think I think today especially, I thought the Islanders in the third, we just got kind of worked. So no one would say they had a good third, so that kind of you feel that a bit at the end. But I think today lost a lot of battles. I talked about kind of our intensity, and obviously I think that can help be a spark for our team in that sense by winning battles and not hitting, but just getting in there a little more. I think I was reaching a little too much, so just use my legs and win some more pucks. And I think like I said with Franz, that'll make the game easier for him. Not that he needs it, just a new guy. So like I said, it helps.
All right, that's Connor Bedard, and that's what you like to hear. Personal accountability, team accountability, not making excuses. That's the sort of, when you talk about potentially giving him the C next season, those are the sort of things you want to hear him say. Is he put it on himself? Said none of us played well. We all got to be better. We all got to have better energy, etc., intensity. Yeah. And a guy who, despite having his 30th goal of the year tonight and a sick highlight reel goal, said, I need to be better. I needed to be better at my job to make my teammates' job easier. I love that from him.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that you want to see from a guy who's going to be the front-facing leader of the group. Is the front-facing leader of the group now, even more so than he was before. So that's good on him to kind of take that accountability. And again, like he's the leader, and this is a young group, and he's going to be the one that's got to be the lead by example guy. And if his example's not there, like, he's got to be able to pick it up. So I do commend him for the accountability on that.
It's one of the things that we said about Jonathan Toews forever. They say it about Sidney Crosby. They said it about Mark Messier. Name your favorite stereotypical hockey leader. And they always say, if that guy is the hardest working guy and the most accountable guy on our team, he's the highest paid, he is the most skilled. If he can do it, if he can work hard every shift, then I can do it. And that's where leadership comes from. And I think the fact that Connor identified the fact that I did not have my best game and haven't had my best game in a handful of games, I need to be better. You're not going to be perfect every night, especially a guy like Bedard, who's not the biggest. He's not a two-way forward. There's going to be nights where he gets shut down, but I really like to hear the response from him. And more importantly, we have our nickname for Frondell. And I told you guys it was going to be something very simple. Franz or Franzi. He called them both. Yeah, it's not like the Franz or Arthur Frondarella or whatever we were going to call him. What was the one you said yesterday? You got a frond in me. That was Steven. That was brilliant. That was one of the best thumbnails we've had in weeks. That was a good one.
Whoa.
He got mad that I didn't praise it enough yesterday.
Yeah,
so
but
I got to fluff him a
down
little
in the
bit.
process there.
Well, that's true. I didn't mean it to do. I was trying to fluff Steven because he felt he's like, no one even complimented my thumbnail.
I complimented him, but I hope he's watching.
We had a whole conversation about
I know. I said we led into we had a 20-minute segment on Toy Story animation.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. All right. Franz. Franz. That's the official nickname. So when they do the what do they call when they used to let the baseball players put their nicknames on their back?
Not
like Players Weekend or whatever it
not the
was.
City Connect.
You'll get a Franz on the back of his when the NHL.
But the NHL doesn't
30
like
years
to
from
have
now.
fun.
Yeah. All right, we're going to hit the break zone one more time. While we do, please hit the like button. We got a bunch of super chats we got to get to. Also, Jeff Blashill standing by. He's got some very specific criticisms for this game about systems and all those sort of things. So good stuff from him coming up after your super chats on CHGO Blackhawks. We have all been there when you drive home from the beach or from wherever you're at this spring. Maybe you're at a ball game and you realize your sunglasses are no longer with you. It sucks.
Sad moment.
It's happened to everybody. But guess what? Shady Rays, they've got your back. Their sunglasses are not just made for real life. They don't only look great. Not only are they polarized and durable, and not only are they not expensive. Yeah, that's right. They also replace them if you break them or lose them. They'll send you a brand new pair, no guilt trip, just replacements, even if you break them on the first day. So now you can wear your shades without fears on hikes, at concerts, on a boat, wherever. Shady Rays is the eyewear that, again, has your back. Go to shadyrays.com. Use our code CHGOSR for 40% off 2 pairs of polarized sunglasses. Again, shadyrays.com, code CHGOSR.
It is March. Are you still sticking to your New Year's resolution to get more protein into your diet? If you're not, get back on the horse with our friends at Huel. Bam! Listen to all that protein. Huel has their meal replacement drinks on the go, ready to go meal drinks, and their powder. It's a great way to get the protein that you need, even when your life is busy. Life can be busy. Routines need support. Habits need to be built. Huel can do all of that for you. 35 grams of protein in each serving, 27 essential vitamins and minerals, and super easy to drink on the go. I do it almost every day, which means it's gluten-free, because if it wasn't, I wouldn't be doing it every day.
Yeah, we'd be in trouble.
For a limited time, you can get Huel with 15% off online with the code Blackhawks15. That's for new customers only. Go to Huel.com/Blackhawks15 to get some protein in your life.
All right, we're back. Thanks for the likes. Let's get to your super chats right quick. Let's start with Green Eyes, $10. Says this was just one of those games, and hopefully we'll be saying that a lot less in the near future. Great show as always. Thank you, Green Eyes. We appreciate that. Hockey Puck says can't let Nazar and Bedard take hits like that. That's a $2 super chat. Yep, you would like to see some response. That was someone in the chat earlier said that the Hawks defenseman had a combined 3 hits.
Yeah,
that
13 hits in the game
cannot happen.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. That just it was Stallone. Thank you, Chloe.
It was
that cannot happen.
Specifically, Rasmus Ristolainen had a big hit on Bedard. Gave a little shot to Frondell in the game. Like that's a moment where we talk about this team needing guys that have that Chris Chelios strand of DNA in them, and that's a bit of what's missing. And I don't know if you can teach that. I don't think you really can.
It also cannot. We talk about this with Boisvert. It can't be only him.
It can't be one player,
and it might not be next year, and it might not be the year after.
Right?
You've got to find somebody who brings.
It's got to be a team mentality. Like the league has evolved beyond like here's our enforcer.
Yeah,
he's going to play 4 minutes a night, and he's going to beat the piss out of 3 people, get kicked out of the game, and he's done his job. Like that's just not how the league works now. You every spot in a lineup has to make some sort of impact. So it's got to be by committee. It's got to be a team mentality. And we've seen at times this team push back and be the ones to say like we're not going to get bullied. But for whatever reason it was tonight, it just seemed like they. Again, like the engagement in the game, they didn't match what it called for. And with the Flyers chasing points, they got 2 important ones tonight. And you knew that was going to be the effort from them. So it was less than encouraging to see really no repercussion late in the game. Boisvert and Hathaway kind of started
They were
talking to each
chatting,
other, but
yeah.
it wasn't. That would have made no difference. That would have just been Boisvert getting his fight to get his fight, and that really just does you no
And
good
I
at
think
that point.
it's actually, as much as I think we all would have enjoyed to see it happen, I think that's him saying, we are getting our asses kicked right now. I am not in my first NHL game.
I don't also need to get my ass
Well,
kicked.
not just that. I think he's going to hold his own as someone who's a boxer and the son of a fighter.
Sure,
But
yeah.
like, I think that would be very much a me thing for him to have done.
Right.
It's one thing. It's the opening face-off. It's starting the game out, getting everybody fired up.
Yeah.
You're down 4-1, 5-1. All that does is say, "Look at me, I fought. Look at how
If someone had fought in that
yeah.
first period after the opening 2 goals, that's like one of those moments where a guy does that to be like, hey,
let's
knock,
go,
knock, guys, let's go. The game started,
and that's
but
but that's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. That's what they need. They need that dude.
Foligno was a guy that would do that.
Yes, but even he not enough. I don't want to say not enough, but like
that's not his. I mean,
it's just, yeah, like
he's not a.
It
fighter
can't.
like
It
that,
can't
but
be on
he
one.
would
It's
do
like
it.
you said. It's got to be a team mentality. It can't be on one guy, be it Nick Foligno then, or Sacha Boisvert now, or occasionally Connor Murphy back in the day. Like it can't be up to 1 or 2 guys to handle it all the time.
Right.
Hopefully, with enough time together and enough giving a crap about each other, it just becomes natural. Where you see your teammate take a bad hit and you react to it and sort it out later. Who took the penalty the other night that Kaiser got hit?
And Bertuzzi jumped in.
And Bertuzzi jumped in right away and took a penalty.
He took the penalty.
And we all said, great.
Yeah.
Not ideal that you're shorthanded, but you've got to let people know you can't do that against the Blackhawks.
You're not taking runs at guys.
And someone has to grab somebody when they're in the crease. Connor Bedard goes down hard. Even if you can't get him back in that moment, take a number and remind them later in the game. Right. Neither of us are advocating to go bring in a Ryan Reeves or whoever Matt Rempe or whoever you want to bring in. No, but you've got to have dudes that are willing to scratch and claw when their teammates are getting abused and when things are not going well. And today, after that second goal, I'm 48. I've been watching hockey since I'm 10. So my 38 years of hockey experience, my instincts were like, now is when a fight happens. Now is when someone grabs somebody.
Yeah.
Now is when someone lays a big hit. Now is when someone does something, and it never happened. And you basically had Jeff Blashill in the media say, we're kind of soft.
He's said it more than once.
What?
He's the reason that we bring up
pride.
The reason we bring up hey, this team could use some more Chris Chelios in it is because Jeff Blashill said that about his defensemen.
Yes,
and now he's hyping up Boisvert and the physicality and the edge that he can play with, because this team just doesn't have it. They don't have it in their DNA, and all the guys that did have it were traded at the deadline. So now these young players have to kind of figure out, okay, what's that intensity level in the NHL like? And what is, if I don't want to keep getting plastered into the boards and then just, thank you, sir, may I have another, how am I going to respond to it? How are my teammates going to respond to it? How do I need to respond to it for them if and when it does happen to them? And when this group does get to the games that matter in March and April, and you ramp up and you get into playoff games, how are you going to survive in that atmosphere? Because that's 10 times more intense than it is now for this group.
Well, and look, a big part of this is going to be these guys coming together as teammates. Look, we always reference the dynasty because everyone knows Brent Seabrook took no mess. Duncan Keith took no mess. Right? But even when something would happen and those guys weren't on the ice, Chris Versteeg wasn't shy to jump in a pile. Patrick Sharp wasn't shy to jump in a pile. There was always somebody. Everybody just did it because that's what a team does in hockey. You look at the teams that everyone considers broken in this league, and we'll point right at the Toronto Maple Leafs, who watched their captain get kneed by a guy with a dirty reputation, and they could not have been bothered to do anything about it.
Right.
No one batted an eye. Not a single Maple Leaf, and now the Maple Leafs are talking about blowing the whole thing up. You're hearing some people talk about them even trading Austin Matthews, right? Like that's where it's gotten because the team feels so broken. You have to have, it's not just about personnel. It is about having these guys care enough about each other to get out of their comfort zones and adopt that kind of play. It doesn't have to be all the time. It doesn't have to be like a lot of people talk about Alex Vlasic being soft, right? And I think we'd all like to see Alex Vlasic be more physical. Is he ever going to become Jacob Trouba? No, he is not going to become Jacob Trouba. He's not going to be Brent Seabrook. But as a 6'6" defenseman, if a forward is parked right in front of Spencer Knight and is just up against his chest, get him out of there with authority.
Yeah.
Connor Murphy is one of the nicest dudes in the world. Like he is the sweetest guy ever. But when the puck drops, he turns on the Neanderthal gene and he finds it. It's part of being a professional athlete. It's part of being an athlete in general. You either have the killer instinct or you don't. And if you don't have it naturally, you've got to find it. You've got to find a way to, when the opportunity presents itself, to take it. Again, you don't have to reinvent yourself. You just have to know there are certain lines that I will not allow to be crossed with myself or my teammates. And when I see that line cross, I will react. I don't think that that's hard. I don't think that that's like, well, it's just not really in me. Then I question that. Then I worry about you as someone when you're in game 7 of the Western Conference Final and you're down 2-1 with 5 minutes to go. Are you tough enough to battle and get that goal?
Right.
Do you have it in you to dig out that extra 10% that you need to get over that line? Because if you can't find it to clear your crease, you're not going to find it to put the puck in the back of the net or to prevent the puck from going in your net when it really, really counts, when your opponent has said, I've got 15 more percent that I have not found yet.
Right.
I'm sorry. That when we talk about development, this is all part of it. And I'm confident that a lot of these guys, as they gain mojo in the league and start feeling that swag about themselves, Connor Bedard's a great example. He's talked a lot of stuff this year. He's been slashing. He's been finishing games
he's been
multiple hits.
He's been the one to kind of force the hand of this team to kind of get into those battles, and that shouldn't be his role all the time. But it kind of speaks to that, as we were talking about before, speaks to that leadership quality of just like, hey, like this is the mentality you need to have, and this is the edge that we need to play with, and this is the intensity we need to have, and he's been the one to lead that for this group for a little bit now, and I don't want him always doing that, or at least I don't want him the one in the middle of the scrums. He can be the ones to kind of like get the guys going, but I don't want him in the middle of it. But that's up to his teammates to be the ones to be like, no, we're gonna, Connor doesn't need to. Yeah. We need his hands not, busted up because he's pushing and shoving and fighting. We need his hands to score goals. I'm going to be the one to go in the middle there and get in Rasmus Ristolainen's face because he laid a heavy hit on Connor.
Even if you just got to get up to him and whisper a little sweet nothing in his ear of like, don't ever effing do it again. And a little shot in the kidney or something.
I always remember the clip of Mark Messier. I forget which goalie he's talking to. But he skates by a goalie, and I think the goalie was like trying to push him out of the way in front of his own net. And he goes, "If you put that stick on me again, you're gonna eat it," with some other colorful words. But it's just like that's a mentality of like, yeah, okay, I believe you. I'm not going to try and do that again. There's just this team just doesn't really have that air about it right now, because no one has really exhibited that amount of don't F with me. And I think that they do have a number of players that once they mature and play some NHL games, as you're talking about, they probably have that gene in them. I think AJ Spellicy is a guy like that who is very physical. And again, is like needs to get to pro hockey before he can really fully realize that side of the game. I think Boisvert is going to be a guy that plays like that. But again, just needs time. Like it's a mentality and it's a trait that I think this group that Kyle Davidson is putting together for this rebuild has. It's just some guys, it's going to take some time for them to get there. So until those guys are here and they fully realize that ability within them, the rest of the group, the guys that have been here a while, Vlasic, and I'll throw, Ethan Del Mastro into there too. Like, he's not a first year player. And he's a big guy, and we've seen him get into some fights before. But just having guys that can be imposing and be the don't touch my goalie, don't touch my superstar, you're going to pay for it. You're going to have to answer to me. Like, there should be some guys that can kind of step into that and be like, it might sound stupid, but if I was 6'6", 215 pounds, I'd probably walk with my chest a little bit out, because it's just like, ooh, I'm pretty big. Don't mess with me. Like, I just feel like that is something that you've got to have in you, and you got to find it.
And I think, and Vlasic's talked about this too, it's like you've always had such a size advantage that you've never had to use it, because no one could move you.
As someone who's never had a size advantage,
right.
I'd love to have a size advantage one time in my life, so I could bully someone smaller than me.
I've been this size, at least vertically, since I was 13. So I had it for a while. And in 7th and 8th grade, I was a pretty good offensive lineman.
Yeah.
And then I went to high school and people kept growing, and then I stopped, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I'm not quite as good as I used to be.
Right.
But to me, it's not so much, what we're talking about here is not so much about size. It's about a willingness. Like, Brad Marchand's not big. Andrew Shaw wasn't big.
Right.
Martin St. Louis isn't big. Theo Fleury
was not big.
If he could, he would murder you on the ice. Like, that dude was a killer.
Yeah.
Theo Fleury was 5'6".
Maybe.
That was his listed size.
Yeah.
And he played in the 90s with like the Darian Hatchers, and he just right through your legs, and he'd slash into nuts, and he'd punch you in the face, and he'd go score 50. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Be willing to be a dick detective. I can use that word when I use it that way.
A dick detective?
A dick. A private dick.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
That's how I meant it. I don't know what you guys thought I meant instead.
Of course.
All right, let's hear from Jeff Blashill, shall we? Get those votes in, by the way, for Game Pucks. It is still somewhat in reach for somebody. So do it.
Connor said that Louis seems to be okay.
Yeah, I think Louis is going to be just fine. Obviously, got a skate up in the face, and so had a cut that I think at first he thought it was, we all thought it might have been worse. It was, thankfully, I think he's going to be just fine.
Team performance, another tough start, and it seemed like they weren't really able to get back on track after that.
Yeah, I mean, we made a couple tough errors that end up in the net, and so then it's a grind. Now you got to really, now you're fighting momentum on the road. I thought we clawed our weight back a little bit, and then made another couple tough errors, and now it's a real uphill battle. So, I just thought collectively we didn't have enough guys close to their best. It's a hard league when you don't have that. It's part of what I think we're learning is, how to have your A and then your B+ game, and so it's just part of the process.
On that first goal, was that did you get a sense of miscommunication, or just Spencer reading that?
No, clear miscommunication. Clear miscommunication. So it was, it's unfortunate. It's a tough way to start the game, but it's that's what happens sometimes.
It seemed like there was a theme of defensemen stepping up in the neutral zone and getting burned for it.
Yeah.
Was there something systematic that was leading to that, or?
We've talked about tighter gaps and gapping, and that might have led to our guys kind of running north instead of lateral gapping. We want to be a tight gapping team. We want to get up in the zone. We want to forecheck as a 5-man unit, but we can't run up like we did at times today. So it's just probably a little bit of a kind of, again, like a learned process of that balance of gapping and being tight, and knowing when you don't have help, and knowing when you're running north, you can't run north. What do you think of Sacha's game? Yeah, he did a good job. I didn't obviously play a ton, but in the bit he played, I thought he did a solid job. It's a hard game when you're not on either special team to get kind of the flow. I think he played 9 minutes, but I thought he did a solid job.
What did you make of Frondell's second game?
Yeah, again, I thought Anton played well. He's you can tell he's really, really strong on the puck, and really shoot it, and is a smart player. And, they weren't. I still think there's more there on that line, but I thought he played real good.
All right, there's Jeff Blashill. Miscommunication. That could have been a thumbnail. That's what the game is. That's what it was today. Yeah. It's absolutely the story of the game. And again, going back to what we said to start the show about them not having a practice in 10 days, it is starting to show.
Yeah. Hopefully a wake-up call, better effort tomorrow against the Rangers, who aren't pushing for a playoff spot, but you still need to be ready to play them because there's still some talent on that group.
I would think that after a game like this, you'd be very happy to have a game the next day, to just be like, we're not going to have to dwell on that.
Yeah.
And
it's not crazy travel either.
My least favorite day of the year is the day after opening day in baseball, because if your team loses, it is the longest 48 hours to go play again, because you're like, man, they've lost every game this year. This sucks. I was so excited and they lost, and now I have to wait 48 hours for another game. I hate that. These guys get to get right back on it against the Rangers. So let's hope they have a better response in that one. All right. Are we ready to call this game puck? All right. We've got a winner. Better father, better husband, better man. Go to Game Day Men's Health. Visit GameDayCHGO.com to find locations closest to you. Our Game Day Men's Health game puck winner is Connor Bedard with his 30th goal of the year. He also had 4 shots on goal, 6 shot attempts, and 1937 of ice time. So good game for him. And he was unsatisfied with that.
Yeah.
But for the record, 1-6, lost 9 faceoffs. For 40%, the Hawks lost 62% of their draws tonight.
He knows he's better.
Yeah.
So
yep,
he's not going to be satisfied with
All right, let's get these super chats and go home. What do we got? All right, let's start with Jim, who is not a super chat, but we'll answer it anyway. He says, who's the next defenseman to be called up? There's one. It's Kevin Korchinski. That's it.
That's about it.
That's all they've got. Grzelcyk is hurt. Tage Harding is hurt. So if you're calling up a defenseman, it's Kevin Korchinski. But it does sound like Cartier is going to be fine.
It sounds like he's going to be fine. So maybe he doesn't need like stitches or anything.
Yeah, it sounded like zero concern from Blashill.
Yeah, so I don't know if he'll even need a bubble or anything like that, but he might just...
And he'll usually say he won't play tomorrow, but it won't be long term.
Right.
He'll usually offer that if someone's going to miss a game.
Yeah.
So I expect Louis Crevier to be back in the lineup tomorrow. But if they do call up a defenseman, it will be Kevin Korchinski, because there's literally no one else.
Right. Or they
right.
play Sam Lafferty on defense.
That's an option. Absolutely. History Racer for $2 says Frondell is a perfect long-awaited Bedard line mate.
I think so.
It's a really good fit so far.
I think so.
And I think when
they're going to grow together.
Yeah, and when people have been impatient with Kyle Davidson adding anyone, at least this summer, I think he knew, Frondell's going to probably be that guy, and he's going to be here probably pretty soon. Mm-hmm. So there's no need to go find him now and then have to deal with it later. I like what I've seen from Frondell. For a kid in his first 2 games to have the kind of stat line he has, it's impressive, man. 2 assists so far.
82 assist pace
That's
over
right.
an 82 game season. Pretty good.
Yeah, but just, you look at the box score at the end of the night, and like every line is filled. 4 shots, 2 missed shots, a hit, 2 block shots. Yeah, like he is a event player, and that's what you want to see from your young guys.
Stuff per 60.
That's right.
He's getting it done.
You want to show these right now? All right, we put these on our Twitter account. Chloe made these the other day. Some new wallpapers for your phone. They are on the CHGO Blackhawks Twitter. I will retweet those now so you can go find them right at the top of your feed. But they look great. They're both Bedard and Frondell Blackhawks over everything wallpapers. So go download those. All right, let's go to TJ Steger. I think I said that right. Says Boisvert's skating is pretty horrible, choppy, slow, off balance, jumping 3 feet in the air on crossovers. Also, this team is Charmin ultra soft.
I mean, I think with Boisvert, he'll get some work with some professional skating coaches now, some professional skills coaches. Give it time. I'm not.
You're not ready to call it on Sacha Boisvert 9 minutes into his career.
After 9 minutes, yeah. Give it some time. Give it some work. It's a kid's first game. He's also had some layoff. Like, it happens. But yeah, I think, for his first game, I feel like he had a good opportunity or two offensively. And it's just going to take some time to get settled into the NHL game.
All right, couple more here. $2 from Louis, says stinky cheesy. All right. Thanks, Louis Crevier, for the super chat. JK says, again, Bedard laid out. No response. That's a $2 super chat. That's from Healer. Yeah, we mentioned that for sure. Got to see a response on that. And then Lizzer says, I'm really rooting for Levshinov, but man.
Yeah, not a great game from Levshinov tonight.
Everyone was asked today.
The miscommunication on the first goal, and there were another few moments that you saw the Levshinov that gives you heart attacks, and I'm disappointed in that kind of effort from him, that kind of execution. It was a rough game.
Yeah, I do think that he is under a different microscope than a lot of people on this team. And his mistakes get amplified. Part of that is because of where he was drafted. A big part of it is who he was drafted instead of. But I do think it's getting to Burakovsky level where every turnover is like, look at another mistake. Like I think people are looking for bad things from Levshinov and Burakovsky.
He's also now getting the. He's getting the first pair defenseman responsibilities. He's on the power play and the penalty kill. Yep. He's playing 20 plus minutes a night. Like, this is the role that he was drafted to be in. So now it's just like, okay, now he's figuring out being the top pair defenseman and being relied on to play in so many different situations and having to be mistake free. And it's still a challenge for him. This is still his first full NHL season, so right. You're still going through those lessons and that growth that he needs to go through. He's still 20 years old. Like there's still more time needed, but this is now like shifting to that point where it's just like, okay, show us what you've learned. Show us how you've taken these lessons and taken these steps and minimize those bad moments and start to lean more into those good moments. Give us more positives and negatives. If you're a net positive player, you can always find yourself in the lineup, getting those good opportunities and making a positive impact on the game.
Yeah, and I think after the reset, he bounced back very well. And then there have been a couple of rough games over the last couple here. So there's no doubt about that. And you hope that those become he's had a bad 2 or 3 games every 3 months, right? As opposed to the roller coaster that we've been on really since right before the Olympic break. So look, when he looks good, he looks really good. When he looks bad, it's noticeable. And I think a big part of that is because how much time he's getting, the matchups. I mean, when he makes a mistake, he's typically defending the top pair,
right,
or the top opponent line. And that team is more likely to capitalize on one of his mistakes than the second or third or fourth lines.
Right. Yeah.
So not excusing it. He was bad today. There's no doubt about it. But I do think there's a little bit of scanning for every little mistake he makes just for some confirmation bias for liking him or not.
Right.
I think it goes both ways too. So I think there's probably people that are Team Levshinov that are like, well, that little nice play, look at that. That really stood out, when it might have been just something very simple that a lot of players can do. Sure. It works both ways. He's got to be better. I'm confident he will be better. The Hawks are confident he'll be better. Let's just, macro, big picture. All right. We done? We good? Anything else we need to do?
We're back tomorrow.
I got all the reads done, all the stuff, all the super chats are done. All right. Well, we will talk to everybody tomorrow. Another 5:30 pregame, Hawks and Rangers. Should be fun. MSG always looks cool on TV. Didn't love it in person. I say, I was underwhelmed.
I'd like to go to see Madison Square Garden just to say I've been there.
Yeah, it was cool. I've been there.
Historic. Yeah.
It was definitely those things. Saw the Billy Joel banner and everything.
The Billy Joel banner.
They do have a Billy Joel banner.
Well, that's basically his home stadium.
Chloe, Billy Joel is a musician from the
Billy
80s,
Joel.
90s, and 2000s.
The
And
first
70s.
and only time I've been to MSG was to see One Direction
That's so embarrassing.
That tracks.
when I was like 12 years old.
There's no
so,
dump button
yeah.
on live podcasts, unfortunately, for Chloe. All right, we'll touch everybody tomorrow at 5:30. Let's flush this one and hope it's better tomorrow on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.